Hi guys, sorry I'm late. I am late for a very important date. Yeah, I'm never good at keeping time. I'm really not. It's just one of my least good things, that I do. Sorry, cable in the way there. How are you all doing? So Elle was first in the chat today, getting in before Billy and sometimes Pete. Pete often gets in early. So Elle, I found another plushie. Well, I've got loads of plushies, to be honest. Thank you, my producer, Chris C. Thank you. So Elle, you get the rainbow unicorn for today. I'm not sending it out, but you basically get the unicorn today. So Billy's got one, Pete's got one. So whoever is in chat first will get a unicorn, and I'm going to tally it up. And then at some stage in the future, I will let the winner know and possibly, send out a card or a little gift or something. So well done, Elle, for being first today. So my producer, Chris, is in the chat. Thank you for being here, Chris. I really, really appreciate it. I'm glad everything is loud and clear. Billy says cheeky. I'm sorry that I'm late. Let's see, who else have we got? We've got Stephen. Hi, Stephen. Lovely to see you. Thank you for joining. Who else we got? And we've got Mithril. Hi, Mithril. Thank you for joining. Lovely to have you here. So today's live stream is a difficult topic. As you've seen, you will have seen a trigger warning. Sorry, my glasses are so dirty, I can't see a bloody thing. You know, they're new, and I still can't see properly with them. That's a little bit better. Maybe I just need new eyes. Yeah, I've seen that advert for the laser therapy thing. Maybe I'll contact them and see if I can get therapy done. But you get, so yes, Elle, the unicorn, well done. Yeah, I've seen that advert where you can get laser therapy treatment done. So maybe I'll have a go at that. Let me see. I'm sure I've got a unicorn here. Is there a unicorn in the channel emojis? I don't see one. Then they're so small on my screen. They're so tiny. So if there is one in my channel emojis, if not, I'm going to have to try and figure out how to do one. But you can have, I think that's a shouty. Looks like a shouty. You can have a shouty. Hi, David. Lovely to see you. Laser therapy is great. I had it done and it felt like a miracle waking up in the morning, seeing all the leaves on the trees from blurriness. Wow. Wow. Amazing. So, I know it's in normal chat, Chrissy, but is it in the fancy chat, the YouTube chat? It's probably just me. I can't see. Like I said, I'm going to have to get my eyes lasered, like David said. Right. So, sorry for being late. I was watching the what I'm going to play for you today, and I'm going to give my own thoughts on this. Now, I did actually want to play one of the interviews with Giselle Pelicot. They are in French. So I didn't want to sit here and talk, do the whole sort of, comment thing, tell you what she's saying from the, oh my God, my brain. If you're on computer, right click on the chat box and select emojis and then search the unicorn. Right click. Emoji. I really do need lessons in this stuff, don't I? It's bringing me a whole load of stuff up here. Hang on. Smiley faces and animals. Let's see. Okay, there's different ones on here too. What's on other ones? But they're similar, but not the same. So yes, there we go. There's the unicorn. There we go. Yay! Done it. Yay! Elle, I do want to say thank you. I absolutely love that thing, and I will try and upload it because it's perfect. I'm actually in tune. I was in tune. It's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And no, I don't mind. I laugh at myself all the time. It did let me send the middle finger the other day on this one or on another live. I'm not bothered. I got telling off from teacher in second year at secondary school. I learned to change my ways. Oh, so yeah. Oh, Sir Larry's here. Hi, Sir Larry. Lovely to see you. And once again, I've got it on top chat instead of live chat, so I miss half of the conversation. Like I said, I'm really crap at this. Really, really crap at this. Oh, Diz is here as well. Hi, Diz. Lovely to see you. So, right, anybody who's new to the channel, click the like button, first of all, please, if you wouldn't mind. The chat is amazing. This wonderful bunch of people. I've got quite a few moderators in there. They're absolutely amazing. If you would like to join the chat, you'll need to subscribe to the channel and wait about a minute, and then you'll be able to chat. But please, please, please be polite and kind to each other. This is a place where we can all have a community of friends. And yes, there may be differences, and that's okay. But, you know, be polite with the differences. No trolling. Any trolls will be smashed and kicked out. Elle says, Witchy, that's why I put crazy horses. The context was lost, so you saw the result. No, I knew what you were talking about. I did have an inkling because I'd mentioned it previously. So yeah, that's yeah. Yeah, it's good. I don't mind things like that because on Bin Podcast, they've got me doing the peacock sound, the sound. So I don't mind. I really don't mind. You know, whatever. I'm always falling over. I'm a bit ditzy. I actually had blonde hair. That was my natural colour. So, you know, and I know that's a trope saying, oh, ditzy blonde and everything, but I used to call myself it because I am. Now I'm just a ditzy goth. She didn't mind. Who didn't mind? The doohickey thing, the crazy horses thing. No, I didn't mind at all. Didn't mind at all. Didn't mind at all. I'm not, like I say, guys, you know, the only way I'd be annoyed is if it was a right-wing person being misogynistic towards me, or any man really saying misogynistic things. And that's the talk of today. So last week, Giselle Pelicot's book was released, which is called A Hymn to Life, Shame Has to Change Sides. When she went to court, decided to allow her name to be mentioned in court. She wanted to stand up against her rapists to prove a point to them that she is not ashamed because she did nothing wrong. They did. And that is where we as women need to take this. We need to start owning this and saying, why should we be ashamed? Because we didn't do it, they did it. So I've loaded another interview that was on, that I found as well from Newsnight. Victoria Derbyshire was interviewing Giselle, but unfortunately, again, the responses are in French and I didn't want to sit reading the subtitles out. So that's something you can go and watch yourself. Oh, has he, Diz? Has he? Brilliant. Brilliant. That's good news. So we'll have Mandelson and Andrew, formerly known as Prince, in the same cell, hopefully. Only 3 people have seen it, me, Diz, and you. That's okay. That's okay. I'm going to figure out how to load it on here and put it on my channel because I love it. I love it. I do. I do love it. I'm not ashamed. Not ashamed at all. You did mention his arrest earlier. Sorry, Chris. I've obviously missed some messages up here. I do apologize. I do apologize. Vertical and with a pulse. Rabbit. Just saying. Just saying. Right. Hi, Alistair. Lovely to see you. Thank you for joining. So you did mention it earlier. So it must have been on another chat. I don't know, because I did watch some of Reagan Elite stuff this morning, but I wasn't paying too much attention because I had other stuff going on. The boiler needs to be replaced and all sorts of shit. So it's been one of those days. And then this afternoon I went and had a snooze because I was feeling tired, because I had to get up stupidly early to let the guys in to sort the boiler because they had to come early. But anyway, the boiler's not sorted. So he couldn't loosen the one valve that he needed to loosen to switch it off because they want to check for leaks before they replace the boiler. So yeah, God knows when it's going to get fixed. Hang on, sip of water. I did want to get some apple juice, but I didn't have time because I was already late. So Giselle Pelicot, brave woman, very, very brave. She is a survivor. She is brave. She is strong. And she is what I believe all women who have been raped should become. I know it's not possible for all of us to become that because so much trauma has been endured during SA, SV, DV, and grape. It really has. I'm very open about what's happened to me. And again, if you feel that it's going to be triggering for you, I don't mind if you don't watch. I really don't. I will not be offended. But as you know, as you guys know, I am a feminist and I want to raise awareness of these kind of things that happen. So as I say, in the video that I'm going to play, obviously you can't see it, I'm sorry, I will figure it all out eventually. It is a lady called Manon Garcia. She is French and she's a French philosopher. And her book is called Living with Men. And the title of the video is Why Ordinary Men Commit Violence Against Women. And it is ordinary men. That's the scary thing. It is ordinary men. And it was ordinary men that committed those grapes against Giselle Pelicot. 50 men. Now I'm going to read, you can find this information on Wikipedia. It is there. I appear to have lost it. Oh, there we go. There we go. So she was born in 1952, 7th of December. And she became a feminist icon in 2024 when she waived her right to anonymity during the court case, which is unprecedented. Many women are made to feel ashamed in court that it was their fault. And she decided to stand up for all women. And, you know, she got a round of applause as well. She's been touring, she's been speaking to women's groups, and, you know, what more can I say? She's just somebody that all women who have experienced SASV, DV, and grape can actually say, you know what, I am not going to be ashamed of what happened to me anymore because it was not my fault. So between 2011 and 2020, she had been drugged and raped by her husband, Dominique, and dozens of other men while she was unconscious, mostly in the couple's home in Mazan. She only found out about it in 2020 when Dominique was arrested for upskirting women in a local supermarket. And what happened then was police actually went and searched his electronic devices and found over 2,000 videos of her that he'd recorded with men. She was actually prescribed sleeping pills at one stage in her life. She was struggling with sleep. This is when they lived just outside of Paris. And she was prescribed sleeping pills. And so he started putting sleeping pills into her food and drugging her that way. And He got his own sleeping pills, so she would be out for ages. She had an affair, he had an affair, they got divorced, they got remarried. But he was arrested previously for grape of somebody else and for upskirting. And he said to her that he didn't do it and it wasn't him. Well, clearly he was telling porcupines. Yeah, so that is pretty much the short part of her, the precede part of her story. During the trial, she hadn't spoken to him when he was arrested. She didn't speak to him when he was arrested, and she only saw him again at the trial. And like I say, she waived her anonymity because she wanted people to see her. She wanted to make an example to women everywhere that we need to move the shame from ourselves as women, as the victims, over to the actual perpetrators. I was watching something this morning, I think it was this morning, it could have been last night, and it was about grape culture. And it was a interviewer asking three guys, they were African, they were somewhere in Africa, and he asked them if they'd ever graped any woman, and they all said yeah. And they were all like, the one says, yeah, 4, 3, 1 only. Would you do it again? Yeah. They didn't grasp the gravity of what they were saying. They just thought it was a natural part of what happens. And as a woman, I can tell you that experiencing grape is pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And I know that when I did contact the police about what had happened to me, and they always ask you, are you prepared to go to court? Because a lot of women aren't. A lot of women don't want to face their perpetrator. A lot of women don't want to see them again. We know it's going to take up to 2 years to get to court. We know that the favorability of the court is going to be towards the perpetrator because of insufficient evidence. And, in a way, Giselle was lucky. I don't want to say that and sound like I'm being glib, but she, that evidence was there. She could prove that it actually happened, that this was really happening to her. She had felt that she had Alzheimer's or something, or she had a brain tumor or something, because there were things that she couldn't remember. She would go days without remembering, and she would be falling asleep all the time. I mean, that amount of sleeping pills will do that to you. Anybody who has taken a sleeping pill, especially a strong one, will know that it knocks you out afterwards, as well as just the night that you are trying to sleep. And if she was constantly being drugged and given more than the dosage, then, the consequences for her would have been much worse. So she was shocked to find out what had happened. And after the verdict, she spoke on the 19th of December in 2024, I think it was. Yeah. Dominique was convicted and given a maximum sentence of 20 years. That is not enough. I do think that we need to change the laws on grape and how long a person should be incarcerated for. In my opinion, it should be life. Because, as I say, he started off upskirting and he had committed grape previously, but she didn't know about it and he was found not guilty. So this whole thing, he'd hidden it from her. And unfortunately, in these kind of relationships, when men are like this, they do hide it, and they hide it well. They hide it very, very well. So after the verdict, she said, I wanted, when I started on the 2nd of September, to ensure that society could actually see what was happening, and I never have regretted this decision. I now have faith in our capacity collectively to take hold of a future in which everybody, women, men, can live together in harmony, in respect, and mutual understanding. And like I say, she's very brave. I am going to be buying her book, but when it comes out on paperback, because it is quite pricey at the moment, unless they put a special on, and then I will buy it on special. But what happened to her was absolutely debauched. It really was. And the thing is that these men were average general men who you would meet on the street. They were butchers, there was a doctor, there was a nurse. These weren't the dregs of society. These were people with wives, with children. And a lot of the wives that were there of these men were actually there at the trial and were shouting and calling them names at the time. And I think that's something that's possibly a French thing to do, because we English people tend to be a little bit more reserved. I'm not reserved at all. I will shout and rave and rant when I need to. But yeah, I think that it's important that we as women do start to stand up against this. And Chris has linked something here, sentencedcouncil.org. Okay, so that is a sentencing guidelines for grape. Thank you. Thank you. I know I've read them before. But again, it does depend on what happened in the grape. But thank you. I will have a look at that later. I don't want to sit here and read it now. Sorry, I've missed quite a lot of comments because I was reading off of a wiki page. Yeah, David. Yeah, prawn has a lot to play when it comes to grape and deviant behaviour. And I just want to caveat everything here that I'm saying so that you know and you've got this straight up front. I am aware that women do commit these kinds of crimes as well. They do. However, when you compare the two figures, it is vastly, vastly different, vastly different. And I'm not saying that the experience is not as bad for men as it is for women, because I'm pretty sure that it is as terrible. And I know that, with men, it's an involuntary response. And actually, there's a video that I was watching as well this morning. I watch a lot of stuff, don't I? I can't remember his name now, but he's got a podcast called At Whatever. And he was saying that some women enjoy being raped because they have an orgasm. No, it is something that is a natural occurrence in the body, just the same way that if a man is raped, it is a natural thing that happens. There's stimulation that goes on. And it doesn't mean that the person's enjoying it. It is just a bodily function, like having a poo. Anyone that doing this is dreadful, then it's the people who have positions of responsibilities and oath to protect. Yeah. Just a quick breakdown. The starting point for category 1 culpability of grape is 15 years with a sentence range of 13 to 19 years. Thank you, Chris C. I just asked my partner and can't understand it at all. Yeah. Yeah, so Larry, he's one of Fuentes' band of, dregs. What do they call them? Begins with a G, doesn't it? I can't remember the blooming name now. Grikes, goiks, grins, groipers, that's it, groipers. We are talking the French criminal justice system. In the UK, the maximum sentence for grape is life imprisonment. Okay, that's good. But still, that's very rarely handed down. I would imagine that in this case, if that had happened here, it would have been handed down. However, there is a case that I will be doing a video of that I found recently. Don't want to give too much away because obviously I want you guys to watch the video, of somebody who did do something similar and didn't get that sentence, I don't think, if I can remember correctly. S-crimes need to have specialised court system, priority given to victims. Absolutely. And Labour have actually done something like that and put that in. They have said that they're going to have specialised people in each area where it is reported, and there will be specialized people who are trained in that to help. You know, I can't attest to that because I haven't experienced anything since then so far. I've just been staying well away from people. So, but to be honest with you, I'm not bothered. I'm, you know, I think, you know, I've been through that much crap, and I've had relationships in my life, and I've loved deeply, and I've been hurt deeply. And I'm just happy. I am happy. I'm happy with my life. I'm happy with my cats. I'm happy with what I'm doing, with this, with running, with all the other things that I do. I'm just really, really happy. And I don't need another person in my life to complete me. I complete me. Yes, please tickle that like button, chat. That would be lovely if you can. Alistair, are they bad at gaming? Okay, they put a limited audience, don't know what that is. Like the start of Kill, okay, obviously having a conversation there. Oh, is the Bin Podcast gaming stream this evening? Okay, I wasn't aware of that. I wasn't aware of that. Oh, here we go. Mithril's put the banality of evil. Okay. Okay, yeah, I know that the Bin Podcast don't normally go live on a Monday night, which is why I'm doing this. But you know, that I think some of you have said that it's a gaming stream and it's for members only. So, but you know, guys, if you need to wander off, you need to wander off, and that's fine. I really don't mind. Increase in 15-year-old boys doing it reportedly. Yep, that is, and that's through people like Andrew Tate. It is through people like Andrew Tate and the whole grape culture, which I am going to be focusing on. I've got loads of stuff that I'm going to be talking about. So yeah, I did want to do some recording this afternoon. And after I'd had my lunch, I was sat in my chair and I was dropping off because I only had 4 hours sleep last night because I had to get up ridiculously early. And even though I went to bed ridiculously early, you know, I'm not very good at sleep. I do have sleeping pills prescribed for me, but I don't like taking them, so I hardly ever take them unless I've gone a few nights without sleeping. And then it's like, okay, I need to sleep. But it messes me up. You know, it makes the body sluggish, and I like to run. Taking pills like that, it would mean that I wouldn't want to run, and I definitely wouldn't be running in a decent way. Mithril, prosecution lawyers still try the she was asking for it, or what she was wearing was giving a message, or how drunk was she, or, and the thing is, this is, you know, misogyny that is actually so ingrained into society that women of a certain age say the same things. Women of a certain age say the same things. You know, and I want to just say that not all boomers, but a lot of the previous generation, the silent generation, use those terms. My mother did. And it's up to us to educate people and say, look, you know, that term, why are you blaming the victim for something that the perpetrator did? You know? Just in from dialysis. Just in from dialysis. Oh, bless you. Oh, God. You got the all clear. That's good, Pete. That's good. That's good. Oh, blooming heck. That must have been terrifying. Must have been absolutely terrifying. So glad you're here. So glad you're here. Just to let you know, Pete, because I know you weren't here at the beginning. So Elle was on first tonight. So she gets the unicorn for tonight. Billy was on first the previous night. And Pete, you've been on first the one night as well. So basically, you get the unicorn. Rainbow unicorn. And then what I will do, it's fell off. Its little sign thing fell off to prove that it's one of them special ones. Obviously, he didn't want to wear it. Obviously, it wasn't fashionable. Okay, little unicorn. Let's think of a name for the little unicorn. Because we've got Spike, we've got Nessie, and we've got little pink rainbow unicorn now. So anyway, basically what I said was that I'm going to keep a score of who is in the chat first. And after a certain amount of time, don't know how long it will be, I will look at getting a gift or a card or something out to that person. So it'll be in the future. Yeah, we're glad that you're okay. We are glad that you're okay. Take care of yourself. Lack of vocal objection does not make it consent. Absolutely, Draco. Welcome. Thank you for joining. I didn't see you there. Thank you for joining. Yeah, it doesn't. If a woman, or man for that matter, is pissed and passed out, that does not give you consent to do that. And the same as with Giselle. She was being drugged by her husband, a man who she said was a great man. She actually said he was a great man, and he was doing that to her. They were married for a very long time. Yes, she'd had an affair. Yes, he'd had an affair. They had split up and got remarried again. But that does not give him the right to do what he did. So I am going to start with this video and play some of it. It's as I said earlier on, it's the title is from Channel News, and it's Why Ordinary Men Commit Violence Against Women. It's Jackie Long interviewing a French philosopher known as Manon Garcia, and she's written a book called Living with Men. There are other interviews. I did load one up on in the description box from Newsnight, so you can go and watch that. It is with an interview with Giselle Pelicot, but it's in French, and I didn't want to sit and read out the subtitles because I find that annoying. So, you know, you can then go and watch it in your own time. Sorry. What Sir Larry said. Cornelius the unicorn. I like that. Ursula. Ursula. Phoebe's sister. Mods, can you keep a track of the names that people come up with? Because I'll miss them all. And then we can, I'll do a poll and we can decide what the unicorn's name is going to be. I'll do a poll in the next couple of days. The CPS decides to charge a suspect by applying a 2-stage full code test to evidence provided by the police. A charge is only authorised if there is sufficient and if the prosecution is in the public interest. If either test fails, the case may be dropped. And that's the problem. That's the problem. I always believe the victim. Always. You were just going to say that to the mods, Alistair. Yeah, it's just, you know, stuff's going up and I don't sparkle farts. Alex, sparkle farts. So far, I'm liking that one. I must say that one's sounding good. I've got a unicorn at my front door outside protecting the house, and his name is Twinkle Balthazar. Thelonious Stomp. That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, I like that one too. Okay. And you said I had the toilet jokes. We all have toilet jokes, don't we? We all do. Right. Okay. I'm going to play this and then I'm going to stop it every now and again and say my own bit. And obviously, guys, carry on commenting and chatting amongst yourselves and stuff. And, you know, if you need a bathroom break, just shout and I'll give you a permission slip. So, right, here we go.
Do this, and this is where Giselle's book is extraordinary.
Can everybody hear okay?
It is both that he was a good dad and that he took incestuous pictures of his daughter, that he was a good husband and that he almost tortured me to death. I mean, for me as a moral philosopher, that's a fascinating question.
All of the women there looked at Giselle and thought this could be me. Are enough men looking at the men and thinking, could this be me? Hello and welcome to the forecast. The trial of Giselle Pelicot shocked France and far beyond. It was a case so disturbing it forced a national reckoning at home, but raised questions everywhere about consent, complicity, and the terrifying ordinariness of the men accused. But as the world continues to confront the vast scale of abuse linked to billionaire financier Jeffrey Epstein, it raises a deeper question. Are these crimes the work of monsters, or do they reveal something far more deep-rooted about power, entitlement, and men? Joining me today is the French philosopher, Professor Manon Garcia, whose latest book, Living with
Hi,
Men,
Jim.
reflects on what she witnessed while
Lovely to see
observing the
you.
Pelicot trial and poses the question, how can women live with men now? Professor Garcia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I think that's important. How can women live with men now? And especially with the Epstein files as well, and all the shit that's going off, you know, it just, how can we as women live with men and trust men? And I want to say, not all men. Please understand that we know it's not all men. But her husband was doing this with men in the community. These were not, you know, like I say, these were not deviants. These were people in respectable jobs that were married, that had, you know, that earned money. And so we talk about grooming gangs. We talk about the Asian grooming gangs that happen and so on. But the grooming gangs, we know, those of us who are educated know that the vast majority of grooming gangs are white men in the UK. We look at Andrew Tate, his grooming gang, you know, he's groomed women, or alleged to have groomed women. Let's say alleged, Debs, otherwise you'll end up in a court case with him. Not that you have anything to fight against, but anyway, Epstein, you know, that was grooming. Ghislaine procured young kids for Epstein. She is just as evil. So Larry, absolutely, I agree. I'd love to psychoanalyze her, to be honest, to find out, was she coerced into doing that, or was she herself minded that way sexually? You know, it's like Fred and Rose, isn't it? It's like Fred and Rose West. Hi, Chloe. Chloe, if you want to get a private reading, you can email me at thewitchygoth@gmail.com. Drop me all your details in there and I will tell you how to pay and how to organize that. So, oh, thank you. Chrissy's answered you. So that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Thank you. My moderators are amazing. So yeah, but thank you for joining, Chloe. I will get back to you. Don't worry. I have started responding to my emails today. I finally got round to it. So, you know, when I look at my experiences with my exes that hurt me on, you know, physical levels, I went back to them. I carried on in that relationship, and it's a trauma bond. It is a trauma bond. And often the woman can't get out of it. We are conditioned as women from being children to believe that this man we're marrying is our prince. Look at the fairy tales. Look at the fairy tales. One of Dumpty's ex-wives has spoken about Maxwell taking young girls' numbers as the two of them are out shopping. Oh my God. Oh my God. That is just, yeah. But, you know, men do that sort of thing too. When, you know, I was young, I was stopped in the street. Would you like to model? You know, come to my place at such and such a time. No, you know, I had a bit more of a head on myself then that I could say, no, this obviously there's something freaky going off here. But a lot of young girls are tricked into that. You know, told to go to somebody's, meet me here and, you know, we'll do some headshots and everything. There was a video I was watching the other night, actually, about a girl from, she was in California, in Los Angeles, and she was obviously trying to be an actress. And some guy came up to her, and apparently he'd done it to quite a few people, saying that, you know, I'm a director and we're filming the new James Bond movie and we think that you're perfect for the part of one of the Bond girls. And he would say to them, wear this black mini skirt, a white shirt and stiletto heels, and I'll give you a tie when you get here. And of course, what was the tie used for? Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Regan Elite. Lovely to see you. Thanks for joining. Trump reckons he's going to have a limited strike. If he does, it's all out regional war. Robert Maxwell was also an abuser. It's learned behavior, I think, for Ghislaine. Yeah, I do think so. I do think so. I think a lot of our behavior is learned. It's learned from our parents. But then there are the psychopaths that are just going to do that. They are going to do that, and you cannot, you know, they're psychopaths from birth. Psychopathy is something that the brain is wired completely differently, and those are the ones that will pull off the wings of a fly and start, you know, with insects and then animals and then children and then adults, and they go on to become, you know, unalivers. There is evidence that 90% of SAs have either witnessed or experienced SA themselves as a child. The problem is we have reactive criminal justice system. They're unable to access support and treatment until they have committed an offence. Yeah. The movie I watched last night, which was very good. It was filmed in Slovenia, so it's a Slavic movie, but it's dubbed into English, and it's called. What's it called? It's on Prime. What is the name of it? I've forgotten. It's in the same vein as that Midsummer that was on. I can't remember the bloody name. It'll come back to me. But yeah, that had a very similar situation in it. And I'm not going to give you the a breakdown of what it's about, because if you want to watch it, it's worthwhile watching. Actually, let me Google, because it's going to do my head in if I don't. It's going to do my head in. No. Oh, here we go. It might be on here. Sorry, guys. No, of course it's not. Why would it be? Why would it be so easy for me to find? Okay, let's do it a different way. Debs. Let's go and look. No, not there. Not there. Sorry, guys. Oh, it's giving me a whole load of stuff that's not what I'm looking for. I'll get it for tomorrow. It's not giving me an easy answer. It's being too difficult. So I will look at that tomorrow. Sorry, I've missed a whole load of comments here now. There's no way a justification. Pete, oh dear, you're another person who hates feet. I don't, it's not me. It's just somebody I know. 15-year-old boy with him when the boat exploded. Okay, yeah, Robert Maxwell, yeah. Sorry, I'm just reading through the comments just to catch up with stuff. Okay. Let's go back to the interview.
I mean, we want to believe, don't we, that the men who carry out terrible sexual crimes are in some way an aberration, a perversion. And we can look at a man who drugs his wife and then invites other men to come and rape her as a monster, a one-off. But it doesn't explain the scores of men who took up his invitation to come and rape his wife.
Yeah, so I think this is what I found very interesting with the Pelicot trial, is that usually the cases that get public attention are cases that are extraordinary, that are like the horrible case of Sarah Everard in the UK. So, you know, women walking at home and getting raped on the way. And so this corresponds to a fake horrible scenario of a known man in a parking lot, etc. But we know when we work on sexual violence that most of the times it happens in the family, at home, with people you know. And so with the Pelicot trial, with the Pelicot case, you have the extraordinary dimension of at least 70 men, something that really catches the attention of everyone. That sounds
And my French
horrible.
accent as
we
well.
have a sort of voyeur desire to know more how horrible it is. And then what we see is the normalcy of sexual violence. We see a man that rapes his wife, that, you know, he loves her, but he also does horrible things to her. We see really complexity of patriarchy, complexity of human actions, complexity of responsibility, moral questions, which for me was, as a philosopher, was really fascinating.
I mean, you know, it's a particularly pertinent moment to be talking to you for a number of reasons. You know, the headlines are full of the Epstein case at the moment, and all the talk is about rich and powerful men and the way they abuse that wealth and that power that they have. These were not particularly rich men. These were ordinary men. These were lorry drivers, a nurse, a journalist, a soldier. And that messes with our head, doesn't it?
I agree with that. Like I said before, these were ordinary men. They were not the sort of lowlifes of society as what we have in our minds as being grapists. As we know, the vast majority of grape happens in the home. It happens between partners. And, you know, the word no is, you know, means no. But unfortunately, coercion happens after that. So even if you are coerced, if you're in a marriage or relationship and you are coerced, and this goes for men and women, not just for women, but if you are coerced into having intercourse with that partner and you didn't want to, that is still a form of grape.
Yes, but it's so interesting because when it happened, people were saying, look, it's a class thing. They're lower middle class or working class men. They're from France, or they're from the south of France. So basically, the people in Germany or in the US or in the UK were telling me, oh, it's such a French case. The people in Paris were telling me it's a south of France case. The bourgeois were telling me it's a working class case. And now people are saying, oh, the Epstein scandal, it's an upper class case. And so in both cases, it's the same system of entitlement, of social structure, of men not like lacking accountability and thinking that women victims don't matter. And so it's there. So of course the Epstein files are particularly outrageous because it's men in power, but it's fundamentally the same idea of we don't get to pay for anything we do. We protect each other, exactly like these men in Mazan protected each other, because some of them knew each other, actually. Some of them talked to their friends about what they had done. No one called the police. Even in the trial, there were two men who had come to the house of the Pelicot and who said, no, I'm not doing this. But and Giselle Pelicot asked them during the trial, why didn't you call the police? Why didn't you send me an anonymous letter? Like, imagine, you know, we've watched all these TV shows. They had just to cut a few letters from the newspapers and tell her your husband is having you raped and drugged, you know? But there is this sort of, we protect each other feeling that we see exactly the same way in the Epstein files. So it's not a matter of class.
So whether you're a lawyer...
That's true. That's what I was just saying. It's not, you know, we automatically think that rapists are the low lives of society, but it's not. And then, you know, we now have, as she says, those perpetrators in the Pelicot case were, you know, general people that we would walk past on the street. But then you look at the Epstein files, and there you have got the upper echelons of society who are just as bad. But it is ingrained through the patriarchy. It is ingrained through the patriarchy that women are objects to be used, that we do not have bodily autonomy. And I think also a lot of it comes from Christianity, from the Bible. That has a lot to do with it. But it's not just in the Christian faith that this happens. It actually happens in in a lot of different faiths around the world. You know, I'm trying to think of some sort of faith in another, you know, culture, but it happens everywhere. It happens everywhere. Women are seen as property. We are not seen as human beings. We are not seen as having feelings. Royal family is riddled with fiddlers. Absolutely. Diz, are you okay? Are you okay? I missed something there. You don't know who you're sat next to on the bus or at a bar. You can buy anti-spike caps for drinks. I've got loads. Yeah, that's another thing. Don't put your drink down on a table and go to the loo. Keep your drink with you. Put your hand over the drink. Yeah, you can get them. I do believe that some bars and places hand them out now to women. But I have seen some footage of men saying, "Why have you got that over your drink? Don't you trust me?" They take it as an insult. And it shouldn't be. And I believe that those that take it as an insult are the ones that we need to watch out for. Coercion, like my dad did to my mom, gained a position in her life that was only allowed out of the house with him, took her far away, fill in the gaps if she had to walk and get alone. Yeah. That is something that they do. They do move you far away from your family. They monitor who you speak to on the phone. They monitor your social media. There was an article that I saw yesterday where these AirTag things that they put on phones and that, and on cars and vehicles and that, men are doing that to track their exes, This is a stalker behavior. It's this entitlement. It's entitlement. It's male entitlement. It's male privilege. And it is the same for all men of all races anywhere. We talk about white male privilege or white privilege as a whole, but then we look at male privilege, and it is the fact that many men seem to think that they are better than women. Sorry, guys, this is quite long, so I'm going to jump ahead a bit.
Seeing these women who are pushed into a wall and say, "No, James, no," and then they say, "Oh, James, yeah." You know, like, it's this idea that the hunter-prey system is the way eroticism functions, that men will always have a woman at home who cares for them. This sort of myth of the prostitute and the mom, these two feminine figures, instead of thinking of women as another human being with whom you can do things. And I think it's really hard to disentangle this and to invite men to think differently than the boys' club, because what we're seeing in Westminster, it's the boys' club. But what we're seeing in Maison is also the boys' club. It's just a different one.
That's true. You know, she was talking about the James Bond movies there, that the women in the James Bond movies are always sort of overpowered. You know, they don't want to do it, but then he overpowers them. And women are led to believe that this is somehow sexy. And it's not. It's coercive. And you look at James Bond, I mean, yes, he did get married, and unfortunately she was unalived, and it was very sad. And it was the only one, it was George Lazenby that played that one. And I really enjoyed that James Bond movie. But we, you know, even women are, you know, think about the Mills and Boon books, the Bodice Ripper books, you know, the woman was, you know, ravaged. And even the new Wuthering Heights, and I've not seen it yet, and I do want to go and see it. But I've read and listened to a lot of reviews about it. And obviously it's not based on the actual book. And I understand that. And it's quite raunchy and saucy, excuse me, but that in itself takes it to a different level of women thinking that men have to be that way. They have to be aggressive. They have to be alpha males. There's a lot of literature now, you know, these electronic books, I'm not talking about ebooks, but that you may see them as advertisements on Facebook, you know, vampires and werewolves, and ever since the Twilight thing, you know, them sort of, you know, a pack of wolves deciding that who's going to be the alpha female, and she's like terrified. Again, young girls are reading this and believing this, and believing this is the way it is. This is the way it's going to be. I saw that Solari the cat said something about, oh, Chris C said it's a cultural thing. It is a cultural thing. But the thing is, it's in all cultures. It's in all cultures. It's in African cultures where the daughter is sold to the other family for X amount of cattle. It's in Indian cultures, you know, arranged marriages. It's in Asian cultures, you know, Muslim cultures, again, arranged marriages. There's so many cultures that have done that. And even women, you know, wealthy women back in 200 years ago were sold off to, you know, somebody rich because the father wanted to increase the wealth. Mithril, I remember having a row with someone I knew about the sexual politics of 50 Shades series. Yeah, I read the first book. I did read the first book. But again, that again is, it's creating this idea of a fantasy in a woman that all romance has got to be like this. All romance is about this anger and this domination and this, and it's not. It's not, because that just puts so much crap over, you know, the relationship, and it takes away the love, the trust, the harmony, the joy, the peace between the two people. And I think it's up to us to educate the younger ones, the youngers in our society. Not just women educating girls to be careful and be aware of what goes on, but for men to educate boys and to call out other boys, other men. If you see something going on, like she said there, that there were two men that went there and said, no, they weren't going to do it. And yet they didn't tell her about it. They didn't report it to the police. They just kept it to themselves when they knew it was going on. If you know that one of your mates is a grapist, tell somebody. Later on in this interview, because I know I'm not going to get to play it all tonight, and I'll probably just leave it there and you can go watch it in your own time. It is linked in the description box. But later on in the interview, she does say that it's important that we call out these people and we actually raise our voices. She says in this video that nearly every woman we know has experienced some form of SVSA or grape. Nearly every woman. And yet, where are those men? Where are those perpetrators? So somebody you know in your group of friends is one of those people. They hide it very well. And it's awful to say that because, you know, you want people to be good people. You want your friends who you speak to be good people. But it doesn't always work that way. And if you do know of somebody doing that, then it's time to call it out. And we look at all the American movies that come out about college education, where the fraternity boys end up drugging one of the girls and they all film it and everything. And, you know, that culture is there. It is there that's a higher class society. It is in all classes of society. It is in all classes of society. Those grapes that happen outside, when a woman is outside, are very few and far between. All of the cases that I read are mostly, I would say 97% of them are familial or known to the victim. I asked if she would have made such a fuss if Mr. Gray had been a street cleaner. Probably not, Mithril. Probably not. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But it wouldn't have been a book, would it? It wouldn't have been a story. It wouldn't have been exciting. And that's where this whole idea that alpha men have, that women go for this top percentage of men who are wealthy. Yet it's written here that this is what you're Cinderella. Your prince will come, your sleeping beauty. You know, all of these stories were created to let women believe that men were supposed to be like that. Because we have a culture of not snitching on others. I hate that culture. It belongs in one place and one place only. And even then, I don't agree with that culture. Yeah. And there's certain things that you don't snitch about, you know, like, you know, staying at a friend's place when you're at sleepover and you're actually going to a nightclub. I got caught once. My stomach dropped. I was heading out the door and I got my bag with me and everything. And my mum, she knew. She said, let me see in your bag. Open the bag. She said, what is this? Do this. You're not going. You'll get back to your room. Chris, I need to take time away from Graham at the moment. Guys, you know, do what you need to do. You are in charge of yourself. You know what's best for you. So if that is what you need to do, do it. There are certain times when I take a break from things. But I must admit, I'm very glad that Reagan Elite's back. I did miss him last week. I witnessed a guy in my high street towards a girl, lots of people about. I thought it was in hand. I went to the pub and the guy came in, same pub, to hide. I rang the police from there. Well done, Elle. Well done. Well done. Worst thing a parent can say to their child is, I'm not angry, but I am disappointed in you. I think that's, I do think that that's possibly a better way of telling a child, because anger just creates more anger in that child. That child then becomes fearful, but there's that, I want to do it again. Whereas telling somebody you're disappointed in them, it's like, oh my God, I actually, that the ego, it affects the ego, our little I, our little id. Right, let's play a bit more of this.
It's interesting. Is that just about, you talk about the social structures, is that just about masculinity when it comes to sex and sexual desire, or is it something that actually permeates every aspect of life, work, home life?
I think it's a question of entitlement. It's entitlement to sex, it's entitlement to care, it's entitlement to housework, it's entitlement to
to behave terribly without being held accountable.
No, but what I mean is that men feel entitled to women's attention, to women's sexual availability, to women's work for that. They think it's normal. And I think this is what we're seeing right now is the backlash. Is that suddenly men are like, what? I'm going to have to clean the toilet as well? I'm going to have to pick my kids up from school? Like, I had
many
better
men
things
who would
to do.
say this is outrageous, that they help at home, that they're not rapists, that they're decent men.
Yes, of course, but for instance, my husband is a wonderful man. So I'm in a situation of being a heterosexual woman, and
She's lucky.
I want to believe that some of the men out there are really good. But when he takes care of our kids, he gets high-fived in the streets all the time. Every time he takes our kids, I don't know, on a train, people are like, what a wonderful dad.
Yeah, that's something that happens a lot as well. If a dad, let's say he looks after the kids for a day while the mom goes to a spa day or something, and he goes out with the kids and he is told, oh, brilliant dad, you've been a really good father. Whereas the mother does that every single day. And yeah, men do get upset when they have to clean toilets or do their own washing. There is this expectation in relationships, heterosexual relationships, that the woman does the majority of the housework and the child caring as well as work. And the man generally is seen to bring home the bacon, as in having a better paid job and so on. There's cutting the grass once a fortnight, and then there's feeding the kids every day, making sure their lunch tins are packed, making sure that you've got enough food in the fridge for your meal planning to do for the week, that you've got enough washing powder, enough conditioner, enough dishwashing liquid, getting the kids bathed at night, making sure they're in bed at time, making sure they do their homework. And that is generally seen as the woman's responsibility as well as her working. So when she goes to work, she actually starts working before she goes to work. She's up generally first in the morning, getting the kids up, getting them ready for school. Then she probably has to take them to school. And then she's off to her own job. She comes home, she picks up the kids, she comes home, she does all those other jobs. Whereas the husband generally, and I just want to say that this is not all men, but generally the husband will go to work and then come home, and that's it. Many of them will spend time with the kids, but a lot of them won't. A lot of them will sit down in front of the TV or play games. I'm still haunted by shower water and a female friend doing a shampoo ad. The shower water went on for ages. The man, the wealthy media guy I knew since childhood. I was young. Wow. That sounds awful, that you have that reaction. After my ex left, sorry, my skin's very itchy at the moment. Horrible itchy skin. I have eczema. After he left, I remember I was dropping to sleep one night, and I sleep with my bedroom door open because of the cats. There is no point closing your door when you've got cats, because they dig the carpet up. So it's just like, leave the door open so they can get in and out. And I sort of half woke up and I imagined his head coming around the corner of the door, because he would do that sometimes. And I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. But now that's gone. But you can have these flashbacks to these things that happen to you. Yes, ask Angela at the bar. If you are in trouble, go to the bar and you ask for Angela, and they will help you. And there's also the hand signal. So you do that behind you. So it would look like that behind you. That signifies you need help if you're with somebody. Mummy, Daddy, what more would you expect in your eyes? I'm not to be respected, take you on, but I'm just one reflection of the values that you hold and the way you see them. I have a friend, she was really pissed. I sat with her under the stairs in the club, didn't know her name at the time, because she was clearly being targeted, made sure she got home and called me. That's good, Martin. I had a friend who would do things like that as well. He was brilliant. He took care of me. If anything untoward happened, he was there for me. And it's very, very difficult to find a friend like that. So well done, Martin. I used to step in quite a lot when I worked in security. My main site had 6 bars on it, so there was a lot of shenanigans, I can imagine. Just remembered she was puking. I kept her hair out of it. Well done, you. Well done, you. It's always hold that hair back. Our office was frequently full of young women trying to get home safely. We had a local taxi firm on speed dial. Yeah. Yeah. It's lovely to see that some men help women when they're in those vulnerable situations. And it is sad. It is sad because, you know, we are just, as women, we are so vulnerable. You know, men often, and I see this all the time, when we talk about inequality between men and women, men will say, yeah, but I could punch your lights out right now and there's nothing you could do about it. That's why we choose the bear, because the first thing that that man thinks about is, I'm stronger than you. I could kill you. I could unalive you, but I'm not going to. This is a man who's trying to, you know, prove to you that he's okay. And he says these things. I see a lot of this stuff. I really, really do. And it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying that this stuff happens. I knew I was in love when my partner held back my hair whilst I puked. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's I think it's so important that we look out for each other. And if you see something happening on the street that you think is wrong, step in. I know it's hard. I know it's hard, but if you can't step in, call the police, you know, perhaps a security guard or a, you know, somebody in the area. I know often when you go into local towns and that they have, what are they called? Not that they're not police, they are the police support team thing walking around and that kind of thing. Or there's a lot of people that check for shoplifters and so on. They have the headphone sets as well in the shops. So there are other people that you can go to if you see stuff like that happening. And I know it's scary. I know it is. Luckily, the only people that I've had to step in and help was an old man one day. Bless him. He looked pale. I thought he was going to drop dead. And he sat on a wall along the street. And I was actually on my way to the doctor. I was walking at the time. And he was holding his chest. I'm like, are you okay? He says, yeah. I said, really, are you okay? He says, not really. I said, what's wrong? He said, my heart. I said, okay. You know, where do you live? He says, round the corner. I said, you want me to call an ambulance? He says, no, I just need to get home. I said, okay. So he held onto my arm. Luckily, he didn't have far to go, but, you know, I helped him get home. And luckily, I still made it in time for my appointment because they were an hour behind. PCSOs, thank you, Chris C. Police Community Support Officers. Couldn't remember the name of them. Thank you so much. They are known by the criminal world as plastic police. They are, but at least they step in and they can call for further backup when needed. You know, it would be nice if we could do things and people would stop. But what do people do these days when they see stuff like that happening? Record. This is going on Facebook. This is going on Insta. Nanny stopping be giving safety tips. What? I will step in if I judge the situation to be safe to do so, not just for my safety, but for the victim's safety. If I don't feel it's safe to intervene, I will call 999. Yeah. Let's listen to a little bit more of this because I want to pack up at 7:30. So I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit. It's probably going to come up with an advert now, guys. It's buffering. The buffer of death. Shall I have a sip of water while it does its thing? It might not even start again. But I am going to do a video taking out some points from this this interview as well, because I think it's very important that we come across to people in order to explain to them, this is how it works, this is how it shows up. I saw footage of a biker claim that a young woman fleeing towards him was his girlfriend. The weirdo backed off pretty sharp. Yeah, that's another thing that you can do. If you see a little girl and she's like saying, no, 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 and she does that sign as well, you can go over and say, you know, hello, sweetie, it's your auntie here. How are you doing, my best niece, or something like that, you know. It is, we have to start doing these things. We have to start, you know, you could go up to a woman and say, oh, it's my sister, you know. Excuse me. I knew there was an ad coming.
Available that very day. So it can't be something that is planned with time, etc. So to imagine that you can find 70 men in the blink of an eye that are ready to come the day of. I mean, recently, because I know I'm very curious about what happens in other countries, because I see people thinking, you know, the French and sex, etc. But recently in Quebec, there was a journalist who put on an ad on a website, a bit like Coco that Pelicot used, saying, oh, my wife, like I drug her and offer her, really like describing the Pelicot case. Would you be interested to come? He said he had over 100 responses in 48 hours. You know, it's in Quebec. In Germany, they found, some German journalists found a Telegram group of 70,000 men exchanging recipes of chemical submission and pictures of how they rape their significant others asleep.
I did actually mention that in one of my videos, that Telegram group of 70,000 men who were telling each other how to grape women. Yeah. And that's what we as women have to face. We face those things. We know in our minds, we live in fear. Even though I live in my home and I've got my doors locked all the time, I'm still very wary of when somebody comes to the door. You know, I mean, I'm 56, so the chances of that sort of thing happening to me now are very slim, but it does happen. There are some men will go and grape 80-year-old women. It happens. It happens.
So it's not just these men in these towns. So first of all, yeah, not all men, but so
it's a lot
many
of
men. So many men. And yeah, so many of them.
And in that sense, I mean, you sat in the trial every day and listened to the what excuses or what explanations the men gave. What were they saying?
So it was very complicated because, I mean, you need to put yourself in their shoes, which is a bit, but they can't say anything. There are videos. I had to watch the videos. The videos leave no doubt, you know, like you see that they did what they did, but you also see that every time she moves by 1 millimeter, they're ready to run away. So it shows that they know that it's absolutely forbidden. It is very clear that she's in a coma, really. And so there's no doubt they can't believe that she's half asleep or that it's a scene setting, as some said. So they invented things like, he gave us her consent. So I thought it was very interesting because there's a very old history of women being the possession of men, right? And so there's this guy who said it was his house, his room, his bed, his wife. And I found it fascinating, this list, because it really showed that for him it was comparable, the bed and the wife, and that you own your wife the same way you own the bed.
Yeah.
But also, what else could they say? There was no possible line of defense. But what was interesting for me is that because there was no possible line of defense, you could think, and the French criminal law allows for it. If you recognize your crimes, if you show that you've thought about it, that basically if you're seen as much less dangerous because you've thought about what happened, you get much fewer years in prison. And in this case in particular, we don't show the video. They didn't show the videos for the men who recognized. So they had a lot of incentives to do a mea culpa, and still they did not.
There was.
So, yeah, one of the men on this case actually did contest his charges, and he did appeal it, and he then withdrew it because he knew he wasn't going to win. He knew he would get more time, and the videos were there, and these men thought they justified it to themselves in that it's his wife, it's his house, it's fine, it's okay. So think about what you would do if it was your wife. Would you want other people to come and do that to your wife? And I know the vast majority of men would say no. On another note, I saw a headline today saying that Bonnie Blue is pregnant. I wonder who the father is. Will we ever know? I'm going to leave it there, guys, because it is nearly 7:30, and I'm sure you and Reagan Elite is live at 8, isn't he? But there is something I want to read for you first of all, and this is actually something about froggage. So, okay, sorry, I can see you all chatting to each other. Jim says, and I want to read this one, it's quite interesting. If your partner stoops to that level, time to get the police involved, no two ways about it. The thing is, as I was saying before, Jim, is that it is coercive control. You are trauma bonded to that person. That person will say to you, I promise I won't do it again. I love you. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. It happened to me. It happened to me. And, you love that person. You've been gaslighted for so long that you believe that they are going to not do it again, and yet they do. And, it's recognizing that trauma, recognizing those behaviors and acting on it. And it's so difficult to recognize. It's so difficult to realize when you are being gaslit, when somebody is talking. I watch it now. I watch it on crime channels and things that I watch, real crime stuff, not shows that are just, like dramatizations of crime, but actual real crime footage from video cameras of police. And you can see the gaslighting. You can see the gaslighting. There was one that I was watching today. Daily Dose of Crime is the channel. It's American. And it was this woman who's had 2 twins, and she was living in a motel, and she'd left them alone when she went to work, and one of the babies passed away. And she blamed her sister, because her sister was apparently supposed to be looking after them. She hadn't spoken to a sister for years. So, and then she was denying that she did anything in the police station. She wasn't even crying that she'd lost this baby, that this baby had passed over. And you can see in that way, all she was thinking about was herself. So I want you to know that I recognize that some women are bad as well. Mothers of children can be incredibly awful and do awful, awful things. But oftentimes the father is not in the picture for whatever reason, but that's a whole different conversation for something else. And I try to stay away from that because that triggers me. But anyway, let's come to this fartage, got a baby in him though. So sociopathy does, it's not just sociopathy, it's narcissism. It's I think it borders more on narcissism than sociopathy. There are some, the sort of the lower level is sociopathy, and then the ones who, my next was a narcissist, full on narcissist. All the traits were there. The dark triad absolutely does. That is why I started studying psychology, because that is the speciality that I want to go into. Machiavellianism, narcissism, and psychopathy. Those are the three. So yeah, that's why I've got the DSM, because it shows you all the things to look for. I'm going to try and say something that happened near me. I don't know if it'll go through normal. Bottle equals baby. I'm not sure. Are you talking about Bonnie Blue? Anyway, this is from a caller on LBC. The caller's name was Mark. I'm immensely, and he's talking to Froggage live on air. I'm immensely grateful to you for everything you've done in British politics in the last few years. I used to be an avid Remainer. I voted Remain. I believed in the European project. I believed that staying in the European Union was the best thing for us. And then something happened. Something monumental happened, and I completely changed my opinion on the whole situation. Farage, and what was that monumental thing, Mark? Mark, I was kicked in the head by a horse. So, yeah, I just wanted to put that in there, just as a little bit of lightness at the end of today's live stream. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you so much for, yeah, Diz. Spike's not said much today, has he? A woman had a new bottle. Straight away, she threw the bottle out of the first floor window. She was unwell and getting help. Okay. Okay. That's, yeah. That's why I don't talk about babies, because I did lose one and it hurts still. All these years later, it still hurts. I think I would have made a good mum. But I know that my dad's got her in his arms and he's looking after her until I get there. So yes, we are ending on a positive. We're ending on a positive. Bonnie Blue's pregnant. Who the father is, I don't know. DNA tests coming out the wazoo. Froggage was made an arse of himself going to the Chagos Islands, thinking he'd get there, and then found out that he needed a visa or a letter from his mum to go, because he wasn't allowed. And yeah, Mandelson's been arrested, which is a good thing. And there was a fire at Andrew's place. Andrew, formerly known as Prince. There were fire engines going there, so God knows what happened there. You know, who knows? But I'm sure we'll find out about it soon. So Crazy Horses audio. Not right now, Elle. My voice is a bit sore. That's my excuse. But I will definitely try and load that video tomorrow, because I'm going to go sit and chill in the front room now and have some biscuits and a cuppa and put my feet up and try and remember the name of that film, and I will post it, post it as a post on my community tab. So yeah, so as if it wasn't consensual, I wouldn't be involved. Got to be both ways pleasure. Exactly, Jim, exactly. It's got to be both ways. It's got to be both ways. Both people have to be wanting to do that. Right, guys, I'm not sure if I'm going to be here tomorrow evening. I'm going for a big run tomorrow, so it depends how knackered I am when I get back. But watch out for a thumbnail. If not, I will definitely be live on Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. for Witchy Wednesday, where I'll be talking about all things witchy and magical and all sorts of stuff like that. So hope I'll see you probably in the chat on somebody else's live stream at some stage, possibly through Reagan Elite's channel later on tonight. Have a wonderful evening and sweet dreams, everybody. Blessed be. Mwah. Bye.